FNAF Secret of the Mimic is the brand new game from Steel Wool, taking place in an old animatronic workshop several years before the main series of the games. It's another open world game, focusing on a smaller animatronics workshop compared to the large sprawling pizzaplex of the previous game. It actually managed to nail a pretty solid aesthetic. But the minute I saw the announcement, one idea refused to leave my mind more than any other. Could you beat it without running and or jumping? What do you mean that Astrospiff is the one that does this stuff usually? And what do you mean I raced to get this video out before his and probably failed in doing so? I have no idea what you're talking about there. Shh. Anyway, with that idea, I set out with one goal in mind. Try and beat the game without ever using the shift or space key. This was my first playthrough and I streamed it live on YouTube, so if you want to catch challenge runs in the future, subscribe to be notified of any more insane things I may try to do. But without further ado, let's get into things. Immediately upon launch of the game, chat enlightened me to a fact of fairly major importance. Jumping doesn't actually exist in this game. One half of the challenge was already dealt with. Still, no running was a fairly major problem that we'd have to deal with for the rest of the challenge. After getting inside, I progressed fairly quickly through the tutorial of the game. Apart from a quick violation of laws of physics with the generator, everything appeared to be working perfectly as intended. Steel Wool had actually done it. A stable game on launch. Or so I thought. It was then that I hit what was to become the first challenge of the run. The chase sequence with Jackie, or rather the Mimic. Let me explain this area for anyone unaware. After falling through the walls into a suspiciously large basement, you end up being chased by this very literal clown along a series of platforms that come crumbling down around your ears. The chase sequence starts with a simple prompt. Run. I'm sure you can realise why this is an issue for us. Still, with some precise lines, we'd be able to make it through, right? Yeah, no. Steel Wool had actually done a good job with this one, with Jackie catching you regardless of what you try to do if you don't sprint. It seemed already, within half an hour of starting the game, that all hope was going to be lost on the challenge run. That was until I discovered quantum storage. When you go to grab objects such as levers or handles in the game, your character moves forwards and grasps the object, allowing you to use the mouse to control their movements. Simple, right? Well, here's where the fun begins. By rapidly stepping back upon making contact with the switch, your hand will collide with the object right as you break away from its own grasp with you, activating what I like to call a quantum link between you and the object. No matter how far away you are from it now, you can still control how it moves, allowing you to flip levers while standing on barriers that raise, as well as allowing you to control things you really shouldn't be able to. With this, now began our time for experimentation. Using QLS, or quantum lever storage as I was calling it at the time, I began trying to get out of the elevator early and attempting a massive head start on Jackie. This, sadly, did not work. For some reason, Steel Wool actually thought about this chase. Refreshing, isn't it? If somehow you get out of the elevator early, you don't actually skip the part that causes the chase sequence to begin. For some reason, it's triggered by a position on the gangplank itself, nullifying all the advantage we gained from our early start. With this thoroughly dashed, we began trying to clip through level geometry, attempting to recreate the strategy used in Security Breach speedrunning to respawn ourselves at a further along point. Alas, Steel Wool has made the brilliant discovery of a kill plane, preventing us from abusing this. Don't worry though, I'll find a way to clip into the void later. It was, at this point, the Secret of the Mimic had enough of my shit, crashing gloriously mid-chase. 50 minutes was all it took to fracture reality, causing the game to crash. Suddenly improvement over Security Breach though, right? Still, with about an hour more synced into this chase, one crash and several more abuses of quantum storage later, I decided I had to rule this chase impossible. With kill triggers all around the level and no way to get an early start, there was actually no way to outrun the Mimic here. I mean, the chase sequence carries on for a solid minute or two afterwards, so even if we got a head start here, it wouldn't give us any meaningful amount of time, even if we didn't just die straight away afterwards. I even tried changing the FPS of this game, making it full screen and non-full screen to set the maximum FPS to the refresh rate of my monitor, because for some reason that's something you could do in this game. I really don't know why. Sadly, Steel Wool didn't make physics frame rate dependent, apparently learning what the concept of delta time is between now and their previous installment. So with this, I'm sad to say you'll have to chalk one instance of running up on the board. I'm sure someone more knowledgeable in the geometry of Secret of the Mimic could pull this chase off, but for now I don't believe it's possible, at least following intended level progression. If that's a killer for you, then here we are, the run is dead. If you want to see just how badly I wreck the physics of the world and attempt to beat the game with as little taps of the run button as possible though, then stick around. I promise things will get more insane from here. Pressing my urge to quantum storage every lever I saw from this point onwards, I pushed on. After quickly fixing up the elevator, and somehow ruining the sound in the process, I mean, just listen to this. That's not a good sound. Right, well, what news for me do you have now? What in security breach? Yeah, not security breach. What in steel wool? Your game is working perfectly as intended. Oh, I have really broken this game. Right. Oh no, I've broken something. I've oh oh no, this isn't supposed to be happening. I have no idea what I did here, to be honest, but thankfully after a quick reload it fixed itself. Travelling to the carnival after this, where I discovered just how bad of an idea it was to quantum storage other important objects, with a certain puzzle trapping me for far too long, we had reached our second chase sequence, the run from the big top. After finding yourself on the rooftop, you have to escape the massive ticket machine that runs the carnival section of the workshop. Problems start right away here, with the massive stairwell that expects you to run to get down in time. With no levers in sight, I couldn't quantum storage my way out of this one. Are we gonna have a second notch on the board already? 2 for 2 would be humiliating, the challenge barely even being considerable as a tenuous success at that rate. It was going to be over before it had even begun. Until it was that steel wool blessed me once again, with their classic blessing of terrible level geometry. By ramming my back against a railing, I could throw myself over it, hurtling over the edge and down several floors into the next series of rooms that would let us escape from the massive animatronic chasing us. It took me a few tries, with several ending in us simply falling into the massive pit below, but before long we'd got it, allowing us to save one press of the sprint key in the long run. Sadly, before this chase was out, we'd be forced to tally up another sprint press, with an even start for once not allowing us to pull any tricks to get out of it. We'd managed to shave at least one off our eventual total though. If we only ever had to sprint twice, I could genuinely be quite happy with the run. I mean, 3 strikes and you're out, right? Quickly putting the spring lock suit together though, I made my way to the introduction to the crane puzzles and to the far too long boat shooting section, ending up a few floors down into the basement once again, this time ending up in the recycling center. Just quickly, I'm gonna mention why I'm skipping over most of the game. It's because, frankly, other than my abuse of reality whenever I could with chat to help pass the time, not very much proved to be interesting. The game really feels like a VR tech demo, which isn't necessarily a problem, but it really feels like it goes for too long at certain points, and especially when the entire point of this video is to focus on a challenge run, I really don't feel like it's worth mentioning most of the game. Anyway, one quick... no, this took me about half an hour. Stealth section later, I managed to terminate the Mimic, descending even further into the belly of the beast. Surely the Mimic couldn't come back from that. I mean, I chucked them into, like, molten lava. There's no way they'd just bust through a wall. And they bust through a wall to chase us once again. Here is the third major chase of the run. This time against the bot that we had just thrown into the lava, Nurse Dolly. Or rather, the Mimic wearing Nurse Dolly's skin. We've got one major tool on our side this time, though, discovered all the way back in the first chase. Quantum storage. Here's where I discovered another of the important properties of quantum storage. The ability to interact with items even if they're ordinarily supposed to force you out of the menu. By using this, we can cause the elevator leading into the sequence to go down before calling it back up, lowering the gate that would normally block you whilst the elevator still moves down somehow, giving you the most possible time to begin running before you start getting chased. For some reason, if you do this though, the area you run into deloads, instantly throwing you into the abyss below the map. Remember when I said we'd be back here? Yep, here we are now. All things considered, it's actually rather peaceful. No chase music, because for some reason it cuts out. No killer, because Steel Wool really didn't expect us to get down here. It's just me, my thoughts, and chat, the omnipresent force. But that's boring, right? Let's retry. By waiting for a moment right at the threshold, we can somehow find enough area mid-chase for the area in front of us to load in, allowing us to safely cross without throwing ourselves into the abyss unintentionally. From here, it's only a matter of slowly dealing with the stealth section ahead, returning back to the security office unharmed. Basically, nothing else really stands in our way now. I mean, the warehouse is easy enough to clear, just walk around slowly collecting pieces. There's only one section that stands between us and the first ending possible for us to get off at, and where I'm planning on terminating this run. The dark basement. This is the first area that has a gimmick that actually interestingly inconveniences us more than simply requiring us to flat out run to evade it. You've got to make your way from spot to spot in the dark, sticking to the lights to stop yourself from being attacked. This is a timer, really, with the noise gradually building up in the background to let you know that you're about to get got. There's of course one major issue with this for us. We can't run from light to light like the game expects us to. Our movement needs to be perfect, with each mad dash giving us effectively only a few milliseconds to spare before we're jump scared in the dark. Whilst past me stumbles around attempting to get perfect movement, I'd like to say how much I actually love this area. From everything I've seen up until writing the script, this is by far the best atmosphere for horror the game has, and I imagine in VR, like this game really feels designed for, it'd be even better. Space is cramped, downright oppressive in how little you're ever able to see. It isn't improved much when you get a flashlight on occasion, the small range of light barely stretching in front of your face, giving you just enough time to react before the enemy gets to you, but even that is used against you, with lifeless animatronics with similar appearances to the main enemy of the zone lurking around every corner, causing you to flinch each and everything that's hanging on the wall because it may be the thing you're desperately trying to avoid. The monstrous area too is actually pretty well designed too, foregoing the usual 70s aesthetic the rest of the game has for a sleek white design, glowing eyes adding to the fear of spotting them out of the corner of your eyes. Not sprinting still only adds to the ambiance, even though it's not intentional, being forced to take in each and every moment in the basement as you're desperately trying to go faster, but really can't, barely making it from space to space, as this random monster can just appear from behind you and suddenly end you. It's genuinely the best part of this game. It all works together to create what must be, in my opinion at least, the best piece of atmospheric horror the FNAF series has at this point. And I really hope Steel will create more things like this in the future. Cool gimmicks are fun and all for VR games, but more horror that actually leaves me. The only way I can describe it is the feeling of, you know when you eat spicy food and your tongue's all tingly after you're done with it? That's what it felt like to get out of the zone. My nerves were on edge, but I felt genuinely relieved to get out of there. It's genuinely one of the best zones in a horror game I've seen so far. Anyway, getting back to past me, we've gotten ourselves stuck in a bit of an impasse. Two areas of light are far too far away from each other to allow us to safely move from one to the other. Was this it then? I mean, we couldn't really deal with the timer, surely. Would the darkness smother my attempts to stop the challenge from reaching 3 strikes? Which is, as I've said before, in my mind the absolute cutoff that the challenge could last for? Was this last ember destined to be put out by the dark? Surely it was over, right? Well, not really. There was one more thing I could do. I let go of my fear of the darkness. For some reason the game doesn't actually explain to you, whenever you're looking at the enemy in this area, it can't move, and thanks to the glowing lights it has, you can really always look at it. By doing this, we can force it to remain in one place, actually removing the kill timer that the zone has, which honestly, props to Steel Wool, I wouldn't have thought to do that myself. There's just one issue with this. You need to walk blindly into the void behind you, or else it'll get to move and you die very quickly. To do this, there was only one thing for it. I had to let fear go and embrace the void. So we go here, which then allows us to keep an eye on him here, which then allows us to go back here. The light goes on here, which then allows us to see there. Brilliant. And then we keep an eye on him, and we walk backwards. Just like that, I'd done it. Completing the final section before the first ending, the homage to Help Wanted One's failed ending if you recognize that, we'd done it. Secret of the Mimic beaten with only 2 presses of the sprint key. Since scripting this video, I've been shown how insane the speedrun for it is, only requiring 4 minutes and a likely insane abuse of quantum storage to pull it off. But, I mean, I wouldn't know. I'm not planning on doing it unless I figure out how to do it myself. If you'd like to see me take on the other endings of this game, and maybe even try to find a way to sequence break and reach an ending without any press of the shift key at all, drop a like and a comment down below. It really does help out the channel and lets me know that you want to see more videos like this in the future. But until then, I hope you've enjoyed. I'm most certainly no Astral Spiff, but I hope I've brought at least some entertainment to your day. Thank you to the members, you lot allow me to make videos like this despite the fact that they're realistically not going to do too well. And thank you, viewer. Yes, you, one of only probably 100 people to make it to this point of the video. Without people like you deciding to give madmen like me a chance, I'd be utterly lost on this platform. But with that said, good morning, good evening, and good night. I'll see you all next time.